and darling viewers, it's Jen here at Check Her Joy, and this time I'm reviewing the Daring Do adventure books. These are from the show My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, and they are based off of books in the television show that are the Daring Do books written by A.K. Yearling. So these are actual Daring Do adventures written by G.M. Berrow as A.K. Yearling. So ta-da, we have actual real Daring Do, and it's so awesome. So Daring Do is this adventure pony. She's very much like Indiana Jones. She is always off rescuing cities and finding relics and really just getting into trouble and adventure. It's so much adventure and craziness. And she does have some arch villains which show up in these. So we see Alizotto, who is this dog-like creature who's always trying to take over the world. And we have Caballeron, who is this pony who's just out to find these relics just so we can sell them and make a buck, and has all these hench ponies working for him. So Daring Do is a Pegasus. She can fly, which comes in handy. She also is a very learned pony. Like, she's definitely studied. She's been to college. One of her mentors is A.B. Ravenhoof, and she looks up to him. But she's also been raised from a very young age to protect others and be interested in puzzles and exploring and what else is out there. So she's a really fun character, both because of all the crazy stuff that's happening to her and that she's doing, but also she's interested in protecting the weak and helping those who might not be able to help otherwise, and really jumping in there and save the day, which makes it really awesome. So this is a set of 3 books. They originally came in like a box set. I don't have the box set. I actually found these at my grocery store in the closeout section for like $1.50 each for the first 2. And I was like, yes, Daring Do. That sounds awesome. And then I got the 3rd one out of the library because why not? There are plenty of unboxing videos for like what's actually in the box set. Basically, there's a really awesome decorative box and a gold Daring Do character in there, and a fake book that's based off A.K. Yearling's real book in the show. Within the world of My Little Pony, the Daring Do books are huge. Like, every pony reads them. They are basically Equestria's version of the Harry Potter series. Like, they're that big. Like, everybody knows them. People who might not normally be into reading, like Rainbow Dash, are really obsessed with the series. There's something like 30-some books in the series on the show, which I think is awesome. But in the real world, we only have these 3. So they are Daring Do and the Marked Thief of Marapore. This is the first book. I didn't realize they were actually a series until I started reading them also, so read them in order because they do build off each other. However, if you can't find all 3 of them, you can also just jump into one. It's just not as good as if you're going to read all 3, read them in order. So book 1 is Daring Do and the Marked Thief of Marapore. In this book, we have a volcano, Mount Vesuvius. Lots and lots of pony puns in here, by the way, which I super loved and appreciated. It cracked me up. So we have Mount Vesuvius that is about to erupt. It hasn't erupted in, centuries, and all of a sudden, the relics that have been stopping it from erupting and protecting the city surrounding it have gone missing. And so Daring Do has to go find the relics, put them back in their respective places before the volcano erupts so that the cities surrounding it are still protected. There is a villain in here, the Marked Thief of Marapore, who wants to stop it, steal the relics for himself, and has his own reasons for wanting them that are not as altruistic as saving everybody else around him. Book 2 is Daring Do and the Eternal Flower. Daring Do hears about this flower that can grant eternal life. It's also really hard to find because every time it shows up somewhere, it changes appearance and looks differently. But you can only tell it by its roots, which I think form the infinity sign. So it changes locations every time a pony finds it. It's really hard to find, and it can grant eternal life. So obviously it's very highly sought after. It's fabled. There's a lot of rumors around it. And Daring Do's arch enemy, Alizotto, wants to find it so that he can be granted eternal life and doesn't have to worry about dying anymore. And he's really awful and really evil, so having him live forever would not be great. So Daring Do sets out on this adventure to find the flower first, and make sure Alizotto doesn't get it. Book 3 is Daring Do and the Forbidden City of Clouds. In this one, Daring Do visits her mentor, A.B. Ravenhoof, and he tells her about this city that supposedly doesn't exist, except one of his friends has found it, but won't tell anybody where it is. But they need to find this one relic called the Halo of Cirrostrata, and that protects the city. And so Daring Do goes to find this invisible city in the clouds, populated by these mysterious Pegasus who don't really interact with the rest of Equestria. So that sets up on her adventure. We also have Caberon making an appearance. He would also like some of these artifacts for himself so he can sell them and make money, because that's his motivation. He also makes an appearance in the Eternal Flower, which I like. Like, Caberon's one of my favorite villains. He's not outright evil in the same way that like Alizotto is out to destroy the world. And he's also very charming and charismatic, and he flirts with Daring Do, even though she's totally not into him. But like, I appreciate it. They're really funny moments. So all 3 of these books are pretty short. They're only 200 pages each. They're children's books, but like really early reader chapter books. Like J fiction, mid-grade readers. Something like more like the Magic Treehouse books than say Harry Potter, which are a little more complicated. The text in here is pretty big, so when I say it's 200 pages, I mean it's still a very short book, because there's only like 2 or 3 paragraphs per page. There's some art in here, but it's like the same art on every page, every chapter, through all 3 books. We've got Daring Do's cutie mark, which is a compass rose. We've got some stuff that looks like ancient artifacts. We've got a picture of Daring Do at the start of every chapter. It's the same picture of Daring Do. I mean, it's a good picture, but like, it's not that interesting, honestly. We've got marks on it that make it look like you're plotting a course on a map. So I appreciated the details. It makes it look a little more interesting. Each of the books have author bios for both A.K. Yearling and G.M. Berrow. And they are set up as if G.M. Berrow helped A.K. Yearling, like the actual author of the Daring Do books, actually wrote these, which I appreciated and really stuck with that like A.K. Yearling wrote these books. Which if you've watched the show and gotten to the episode of Daring Don't where we meet A.K. Yearling, like the fact that A.K. Yearling wrote these is pretty much awesome and amazing and fantastic. They also have a glossary where they go over characters and how to pronounce names, and some of the places in here. So if you're getting confused or you don't know how to pronounce something, like Alizotto's in here. Each of the books has space in the back for field notes or sketches of your own as you're off having your own adventures. And really, they look awesome. They look like the Daring Do books look in the show, like it's the same art style. It looks like we literally have them like out of the show. Like we have the books that Rainbow Dash and the rest of the group are reading, and that's pretty much awesome. I was a little taken aback by the simplicity of these books. Like the first time I went through here, and I'd been reading all these Doctor Who books, so my mind is immediately jumping to what's the clue, where's it going, what's this character's motivation, do we trust them? And I really overthought all of this. It's a children's book. It's a very simple children's book. The bad guy is pretty much the bad guy. So these are really short. They're easy, quick reads. It took me about 2 hours to read each book. They're really entertaining. I appreciated the small things like the horse and pony puns. Like one of the cities in here is called Pony Pay, like playing off Pompeii, but like pony in the title. It's definitely in the My Little Pony universe. We're definitely in Equestria, but also it's Daring Do, so they're one of the characters that we don't get to follow as much. So I appreciated seeing more of her adventures. They do kind of have a tendency to just end, like Daring Do saves the day. Here's a quick little synopsis, but like basically the climax happens and then the book ends. It was particularly frustrating with the last book because I knew it was the last book. We got to the end, there's this big reveal, and a huge part of like who Daring Do is and what she's gonna do in the future. And the book just stops, and I'm like, but I want more books. So I would definitely buy more Daring Do books. Can we please have more? Or can we go back to this in the show? Something, because this didn't really feel like it was completely concluded either. Like, it felt like it was kind of just hanging, and there's so many more possibilities. And yes, you can sit there and use your imagination and dream up what you think is going to happen. And this is definitely some fanfic fuel for what the last book means. So that's my one gripe, was it kind of just ended and I didn't want it to end. Like, once I got into these, I got really into them. Also, I want the rest of the Daring Do books. Like, I would love to read book 1, the Sapphire Stone, that we hear about all the time. These also don't rely so heavily, like, it's set in Equestria, but it's not relying on events that have happened in the show. So I think you could still jump into this and read it if you haven't watched My Little Pony, or especially if you haven't been watching every episode of My Little Pony. Like, if you know who Daring Do is, if you watched the first one, you could totally jump into these and know what's going on and who Daring Do is. There are nods to, like, adventures she has in the show, and I appreciate them, but they're not such a huge part of this that you need to have watched the television show to read these books. I recommend these. These were fun. I gave them all like 4 stars on Goodreads. I've also got my Pith helmet back here. That is Daring Do's hat, in case you can't tell. It's completely made out of paper. I made it for my Halloween costume this year where I was Daring Do. So I'll post the link to the DeviantArt PDF that I got this hat from. If you guys want to make it, it's just copy paper and tape. Although I will warn you that it took me like 2 rolls of tape to make this hat because the instructions weren't very clear, and also I was like, I don't want this hat falling apart. Like, let's tape it so it's so sturdy. And then also I'll put the pictures of me as Daring Do at the end of this video, because why not? It was fun. I really love Daring Do as character. She is so great, and I love that they're like books. Like, it's not just a pony who's really into adventure and like finding relics and Indiana Jones, but like also it's very much tied into books and literature and the love of reading in the show. And they explore writing through introducing AK Yearling and the fandom around something, as we go to like one of the episodes is a con that's all about Daring Do. And even just the very first time that we meet Daring Do and we're introduced to these books, it's Rainbow Dash stuck in a hospital and she doesn't want to read. She thinks reading is boring, and these are the books that really get Rainbow Dash hooked on reading. And so many of the experiences she has, like getting into the series, I, as a bookworm, was like, yes, I understand that. I totally get the end scene where she's like, she's breaking into a hospital in the middle of the night to get the book because they kicked her out of the hospital when her time was up and she hadn't finished the story. But she's also like still living in the Daring Do books while she's doing it, so like she's jumping through hoops, and it's very reminiscent of like trying to break into a tomb and save a relic. And oh my god, I love Daring Do and the Daring Do books. Like, anytime they're referenced in the show, like, definitely one of my favorite parts of My Little Pony, like, altogether. Go check out these books if you love My Little Pony, and especially if you love Daring Do or you love Indiana Jones. They're great. I love, like, it's so exciting to just, like, actually have the Daring Do books in my hand. So awesome. So, yeah. So, peace out. I love you guys, and keep reading. Bye.